And so they had $500 to work with. So then they ended up spending an extra $300-400 to make it bigger. And so that was great for us because that 500 was there, right? So it's already in the bank for us. And then to put a few extra, a few extra on top of that was nice. So we kind of use them as an example with other people because we talk with them about, every couple that comes in already live together. It's just different age from like when my wife and I got married. So they already live together. They have everything in their houses already. A lot of them they're working professionals, and so they really love the idea of it, and they get really excited about it. So we'll see with this round this year if it gets. So we're trying to work on some strategies to keep it at the forefront of their mind, because we talk a lot about it up front, but if as they get busy with their wedding planning, I don't know what's happening with it, so we'll see. I'm not sure yet. It's still kind of
So we're working on another round of tech development at the moment, which is going to be able to engage that a lot more with a lot more reminders and notifications that will go off in that time. Basically, it will be when registries get to a certain percentage, like a keep going to encourage them to do more. And then it'll also be on time. So, 1 month out, 2 weeks out, that sort of stuff. And again, encourage that. So there's a lot that we're working on with that as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm thinking that they need to get it, they're doing websites or apps, right? I have no idea sometimes. So I think that's one of those things where we're just wanting to get to know a little bit more what their planning process is. And one of the advantages of actually with the album registry, it just sending that to them and then setting the budget is, I put it at like $2,000 or $3,000 so that at the very least for us in our conversations, they're thinking about what that additional investment is going to be. And yes. So, because getting people to think about spending that much more on their on their wedding after their wedding is kind of difficult. So you're always looking for the ways to get them to build the value in their mind, but also build the understanding of what the costs are, that this isn't cheap. This isn't like I said, not just a consumer book that you put together. This is like an heirloom piece. And so, we're working on ways to kind of convey that on the level with them. So.
Hey everyone, welcome to the next episode of Yarning with Jannah. Today we have Isaac from Wayfarer Studios. He is the photographer in Portland, Oregon. He is one of our amazing photographers in the album registry family. And today he's popping by and we're going to have a quick chat about how he uses album registry, his successes, and some tips on how you can pop it into your workflow.
Good. All right.
Woo! How are you?
I'm not bad.
Bit cold over there?
Well, actually, it's not that bad. We've had way colder, so it's nice we're finally in the spring weather here. So we had snow not too long ago, so it's good to be but it's Oregon here, so we get a little bit of rain every once in a while, a little bit of sun. It's kind of a mixture.
Yeah.
How's it going over there?
Yeah, good. It's hot. We're supposed to be coming out of summer. But today, it's quite steamy, but we're up in the northern part of Australia, so it's pretty much just always summer.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. And then sometimes we'll put a cardigan on or something like that.
Just to pretend.
Yeah, just pretend. But it might be those 2 or 3 nights a year just to have a fake winter.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we've only been to Australia on a layover in Sydney to going to New Zealand. So we haven't spent any time there yet, but we hope to soon.
Excellent. Where'd you go in New Zealand?
So we shot a wedding in Auckland, and that was, geez, I don't know how long, it's like 5 or 6 years ago now. And so we did most of like the northern island, and um, just we rented a car for a few days and rode around. Went to Rotorua and a couple places like that. So didn't have a ton of time, but it was awesome. We loved it.
It is such a beautiful country over there. I like it. I've been over a couple of times. They don't have snakes there.
They have snakes?
They don't have any snakes.
They don't have snakes. Oh, okay, but you have snakes.
They don't have any snakes in New Zealand. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
Oh.
It's not like Australia where everything can kill you.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I guess there's probably places you don't want to be walking around out there.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for coming on to Yarning with Jannah.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically what we do is we just catch up with some photographers or industry partners or anyone in the industry, catch up, have a yarn and spread around the world, useful information, a bit of education, and then just, giving you guys a little bit of a profile as well.
Cool. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So tell me about yourself, Isaac. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
So my wife and I work together. We have we mainly shoot weddings. We do quite a bit of family portraits and stuff like that. Let's see. So we're in Portland, Oregon, and this is now, I guess we're heading into our third full-time wedding season. We actually lived overseas for 8 years. So we were teachers in Dubai and then Shanghai. And while we were overseas, we kind of developed our business on the side and did a lot of family stuff and did some weddings in the summer, and then made crazy decision to jump in full time and kind of develop this sort of photography and travel and whatever. And so now we're still here in Portland, and let's see what else. We pretty much work pretty equally, I guess. I mainly do albums, so designing the albums, and Jen, my wife, she does all the editing and things, but we shoot together. We shoot pretty equally. She's much more outgoing than I am, so she does all the lead stuff, and but she's already in bed. She's too tired. We have two kids, and they it's kind of it's a bit of a balance running the business, having the kids, and they're not in school yet. So we have a 6-month-old boy, so he's born in September. And we have a 4-year-old daughter, Isla. She does a few days a week in preschool. But they're mostly with us. So we just kind of crazy balance between running business and running lives and all that. So, yeah.
Beautiful. And so, can you tell me about the jump when you decided to go full time? Did one of you keep working as a teacher for a bit, or? No,
yeah, we actually we kind of got done with a big conversation about this stuff. So when we jumped, excuse me, in full time, we were teaching, like I said, overseas, and we just decided we're going to go for it. We're kind of pushing everything else to the side, and we sort of kind of gave ourselves a full year at least to, of savings and things like that, to build the business here in Portland. And so, there's still a lot of building that has to go on. And so we're kind of figuring out where we're at with that. And it's kind of been good. It's been good enough, I guess, for us. And we love shooting weddings, and we love working with the clients. And as I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more, print is a huge thing for us, and developing the value for them. And so we kind of, after 2.5 years now, I think we're a little bit more trying to get more defined on what it is that we want to accomplish, and why we do what we do, and who we want to work with, and defining who our clients are, and the ones that we want to attract. And so this summer we're excited about everybody we're working with, and we've got about 11 or 12 weddings so far booked for the year, and really, just everybody's great couples, and yeah, so
Beautiful. Oh, that's excellent. And so, how long did it take you to perfect your look for your photography? Were you shooting for a long time before until you kind of found your groove, or are you still experimenting with that, or?
I think that's one of the things that I feel like who we are as photographers. We've kind of known that aspect for quite a while, and I think it's getting better with the technical aspects all the time, and that's always an ongoing thing. But I think that we knew what drew us to photography was really the connections that we were making with people, because we started with expat families in Dubai and China, and the main focus of all the photo shoots that we did was always, we were mostly talked the whole time and just hung out and had a great time with them. And I think that's where we're like, this is something we really enjoy doing, and making these connections with people. And I think as we started developing the business, we realized that was something that could be our thing, and really why we do it. And not just we take these amazing photos to post on Instagram and wow everybody and get the likes. It's more of, we want the couple to be, just feel the connections that they have with each other. And so I think it's a hard question to answer, in that you're always trying to get better, I guess, and you're probably not always satisfied with where you're at. There's always so many things to get better at, but I know we kind of have an idea about what we're looking for in a wedding when we're shooting, for instance. And really, like, what we tell clients too is we're looking at the story, and we want to tell their story, and we want to kind of get in deep with those details, and with the connections that are happening. And so a lot of weddings could look different as far as how we shoot them, but I guess what stands out is really the connections that people have with each other, and that's what we want to bring out. So more than just having amazing photos, it's those, like, we want somebody to look at those photos in their album years from now and see that connection and that love. And so that's a huge thing for us.
Oh, beautiful. And do you have a how do you know, do you work with everyone that wants you, or do you have a specific kind of where you maybe don't want to work with some people for one reason or another, or?
Yeah. I think as over the last couple of years, we've sort of set things up in a way that I feel like are filtering out the people that wouldn't be a good fit with us. Price has a lot to do with that. We, in some ways, I guess, but in other ways it doesn't. It's really how we communicate with people, that we put the emphasis on connecting with them, talking with them, building the relationship. And if people aren't really into that, and they're just kind of, they're just looking to hire a photographer at here's our specific budget, we just need a photographer, then it's not going to be a good fit for us. I think what we put out, as far as the work that we show, the way that we communicate with people, it does kind of filter those things out. But the majority of inquiries that come through are really mostly people that we do want to work with. I mean, we're definitely not in the place where we can just say, no thanks, this isn't going to be a good fit. But I think it more comes through in how we talk to them. I guess if we have a meeting, and maybe there's really only one or two couples from this like round of booking that we felt like we kind of knew in the meeting that it wasn't going to be a good fit, and they didn't end up booking up with us. But the majority of people that we meet with, we do end up booking. So the volume isn't quite as much as we'd want it to be yet, but we're really happy with the quality of people that we work with.
Yeah. And do you have, as part of your kind of packages, that if people do want to work with Wayfarer Studio, that they make a commitment to print their photos? Or
Yeah,
do you
I think, yeah, this has been a big, really, it's been it's almost a 2-year transition for us, where we started out as just, shoot and burn, shoot and share photographers. And that's how we did it when we were overseas, because, the printing options weren't great. And so we would just, charge a flat fee, shoot, give them their photos. But, over the last couple of years, we've been seeing that value of having printed photos and seeing our own photos printed. So what was the original question? I'm sorry, I got lost in a train of thought.
Yeah, the question was, if couples or families do.
Oh, you want to know if there was something included?
Do they have to make a commitment? So I was like, I don't think about that.
I was trying to do a backstory on how it was. I'll just try and make it as short as I can, I guess. Yes, the way that we set up our packages now, it's we have print credits in there. And, and the reason why I was kind of trailing off is because we've gone through so many different evolutions of how to do it, that it's still trying to land on what works. And we've kind of reached out to more people in the industry, kind of finding mentors to help us along the way. And we were in a place where we started out at that, and it was like included a certain number of images of your album in the package, and then a couple other things or something. And then by the end of it, after we went through the meetings with clients and that they were making their albums, of course, our goal was to be able to kind of upsell them and make a bigger album and all that. And there's so much more that goes with that, but the way that we were structured ended up where only a few people actually added more on to it. And then we were out of a lot of money at the end that we didn't think, so the way that we've structured it now is much more upfront as far as what the cost of an album is going to be, what that investment is. And, we certainly see it as our goal to build that value for them and to see the difference between really beautiful album and something that they throw together on their own through, consumer printers and the flimsy book or whatever that they take some months to do, that kind of thing. So our systems are getting better for that, and our initial meetings with them now, that's a huge thing. So talking what you were saying before about who you want to work with and all that, if somebody's not going to be willing to come in and meet us in our studio, or even on Skype if they're in another city, then we just know that it's not going to be a good fit. And I think that kind of they weed themselves out in that way.
Yeah.
So now it's more of, we've got more real about what the cost of an album is. And so actually, I saw one of your questions and in your email about kind of how we maybe use Album Registry, and it's actually become a part of what we're talking to our clients in the initial meetings. We're showing them just as we're showing them our packages, we kind of walk through that with them, and then we talk about the print registry and the potential of it. And so that's become a part of our conversation. And so certainly a goal of ours to make it something that each client utilizes really well. And that's why, I think originally I just popped up and said, what are some resources for what success people have found as far as how they're communicating to their client to then communicate to their family and their friends and stuff. So that's a difficult part, because we had one is like you were able to see was with Wedding for Jamie and Tommy, and quite honestly, I don't know how theirs was as successful as it was. Like, because that was a low budget wedding, and I shot it myself. We usually shoot together, and my wife, we have a 6-month-old son, and she was pregnant last summer, so I was trying to take on a few extras myself. And so they had kind of a low budget, and we had great meetings up front. So I think first of all, we were able to kind of build that value for them as far as having the book, because they came in with that was a great example of taking somebody from a place where they're like, I don't give an F about anything really. We just need a photographer. What's your rates? Like, come on, let's get to this. And we don't like to just jump into those things. And we want to talk with them about their relationship and the connection that they have and build that first. And then it was a really great meeting last summer, because as we were getting better at this aspect of it, that was like, the groom was in tears in the meeting as he's like having, his fiance sitting there, and they're talking about things that they never talked about before. And they were talking about, yeah, I know. It was really fantastic. That's one of those, like, why do you do this? Like, that's why you do it. Like, those two people just had a moment together that they weren't otherwise going to have. Like, they saw it as mostly as a formality to have the wedding. But then once you dig on their story and who they are, it's really wonderful when those things start to come out. And so there was that aspect, I guess, to it, because they were looking at, like, their budget was not very big, but they had never thought about having a book or having those kinds of things. And so once they saw that, then they realized, okay, the investment is pretty high, but that's awesome, and we can preserve this. And so I don't know what they did to communicate it to their friends and family. It's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it'd be a good thing for us to ask them. But they had a small wedding. It wasn't a lot of people there, and somehow, yeah, I think that was the only thing that they put out as far as people giving gifts to them. Yeah. There was maybe presents at the wedding, but not very many. And that was like it was kind of a last minute wedding as well. So people were kind of like, all right, well, that's fine if I give $50 here. Yeah. So 10 people to do that, and there you go. And so so that was great for us, because then when they came in, and the book was not, they didn't get like a really fancy wedding album. We kind of went with more of a press print photo book, which we don't do only with family portraits, but with them, I just felt like I needed to get them something. And so I think I had gifted them like the first 20 images or something like that. And so they had $500 to work with. So then they ended up spending an extra $300-400 to make it bigger. And so that was great for us, because that 500 was there, right? So it's already in the bank for us. And then to put a few extra, few extra on top of that was nice. So we kind of use them as an example with other people because we talk with them about, every couple that comes in already live together. It's just different age from like when my wife and I got married. So they already live together. They have everything in their houses already. A lot of them they're working professionals. And so they really love the idea of it, and they get really excited about it. So we'll see with this round this year if it gets. So we're trying to work on some strategies to keep it at the forefront of their mind, because we talk a lot about it up front, but if as they get busy with their wedding planning, I don't know what's happening with it, so we'll see. I'm not sure yet. It's still kind of
so we're working on another round of tech development at the moment, which is going to be able to engage that a lot more with a lot more reminders and notifications that will go off in that time. Basically, it will be when registries get to a certain percentage, like a keep going to encourage them to do more. And then it'll also be on time. So, 1 month out, 2 weeks out, that sort of stuff. Okay. And again, encourage that. So there's a lot that we're working on with that as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. I'm thinking that they need to get it, onto they're doing websites or apps, or I have no idea sometimes. So I think that's one of those things where we're just wanting to get to know a little bit more what their planning process is. And because one of the advantages of actually with the album registry, it just sending that to them and then setting the budget is, I put it at like $2,000 or $3,000, so that at the very least for us in our conversations, they're thinking about what that additional investment is going to be. And
Yes.
so, because getting people to think about spending that much more on their on their wedding after their wedding is kind of difficult. So you're always looking for the ways to get them to build the value in their mind, but also build the understanding of what the costs are, that this isn't cheap. This isn't like I said, not just a consumer book that you put together. This is like an heirloom piece. And so, we're working on ways to kind of convey that on a deeper level with them. So
yeah. Who do you print your albums with?
So we've been using Miller's.
Yep.
But we are switching to a company called Blacksmith.
Okay.
And they're just a small sort of album company. They're super simple, and that's all they do is the wedding albums. They only take a small amount of clients on each year. So I've just been in contact with them, and so I'm hoping to get it going. I think it'll be a step up from Miller's. I don't if you're familiar with that company.
Yeah,
they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna write Blacksmith down and check them out.
Yeah, I talked to him on the phone, and he's the guy who owns it, is a wedding photographer, and his goal has been to keep it small. They don't take on any more than 100 clients, and they have a certain number. Like, they want to bring on clients though who are going to print a certain amount of books or albums per year. I don't know if we're quite at their quota yet, but we're still building. But love your work, and we love what they stand for, and the quality that they have is really fantastic. So
beautiful. And where are they based? Are they based in
California?
California. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. And going back to, sorry, excuse me, Jamie and Tommy's album and the gift that they got, did you incorporate the names of the people that are gifted into the design, or give anything?
No, I never thought about anything like that. Yeah. I don't even do. So am I able to see who gives? I actually don't know that.
Oh, so I would have flicked you an email with all of the data with everyone that had contributed.
Oh, okay. Maybe I remember seeing that a little bit. I'm not sure that I ever thought to actually share that with them. Maybe that's actually. Does that send to the client?
No, not that data.
Just to me. Okay.
They'll get notifications every time something's given, and they'll know who's given.
Now that you're bringing it up, I'm thinking that is probably a good thing to send to them so that they see who gave. So
yeah,
I don't think they ever asked us. So
really, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for my wedding albums anyway, so I still shoot. On the last page of the album, I'll put the list, so over the top of it, the nice ending.
Okay, I like that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'll log that idea away.
Yeah, another photographer. He's an Aussie photographer as well. He actually gifts them the last 2 pages and makes a nice design, kind of with all the names down, kind of each side of the book as well. Yeah, it's a nice little touch, just the gift.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Wonderful. So I think that's kind of it. How do you you basically covered everything. That's been a great conversation.
So I'm curious about your company right now and where you guys are at.
So we released, it's almost been 12 months for version 2. And
you've only been in business for 12 months?
bit longer than that. So we had version 1, which was more like a prototype that we were using. It was very basic. It was very manual for me to run. Then once we proved that people were using it, then we built version 2. So that's just been kind of taken over lately. So we've got photographers spanning 17 different countries. So we've got registered photographers, and we're trading in multiple, so 5 different currencies now. So people have the option to do that. That's it's cool. More popular in the States and in Australia as well, with some more that are starting to come on in, Europe, doing the euro and the Great Britain pound as well. So now that we can see that that's working, then we'll invest some more money into, getting it bigger and putting some more functionality in there as well. So it's just kind of getting it moving up and up and up. But cool. Yeah.
And so, and I'm trying to remember how I think somebody had just planted the idea of, somebody could give money to their album, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. And I just Googled like album registry. I think you guys were like the first to pop up. I'm like, oh, sweet. And it was super easy to sign up, and that's like, it was like beginning of last summer when we found it.
Yeah.
And that was something we had been talking about, and because everybody's talking about their registries, I'm like, what about a registry where we get money? That'd be fantastic. And there you guys were.
It's funny. That's exactly how it went in my head when I came up with the idea. So I was in a situation, I was shooting a wedding, very similar to the same story that you were saying about Jamie and Tommy. Low budget wedding. It was for friends of mine, and they weren't even paying me to shoot it, and I was happy to do that. And they'd been together for quite a while. They had twins. They had everything they needed, and it was a quick wedding. And everyone was asking, oh, can we give you a gift? And they're like, no, we don't want anything. And I was like, oh, because I had this idea. And I was like, what if we set up a registry? So I set up this really dodgy PayPal page on my website, and it started working. And it was the spreadsheeting nightmare. It was horrible to kind of go back and check everything. And then I thought, what if we built this so every photographer could use it. So and that's kind of what brought us to here.
What's your competition like? Are there any other companies doing it?
No. There is I think there is one in the States, but I don't know if I don't think they're doing much. And that's based on a subscription model, I believe. So I think you pay like $280 to use the platform, and then they still take a commission from that, which doesn't seem right from my point of view where I'm sitting at the moment, especially when you're starting off with some technology which you're not too sure whether or not you're going to be using straight away. Yeah. So I always went out with the idea, and I want it to be, if you don't use it, then you're not going to.
That's what I loved about the setup for you guys, was that it was so simple, and that I didn't have to commit to, because I have no idea why if anybody's going to like it, or if they're going to use it, or I certainly wouldn't go paying that kind of money to be in a service I didn't know anybody was going to use. Right. So, the commission on it is really reasonable, and I gladly pay it for that aspect of people just giving free. It's like free money for us. So it's trying to find that way to use it with clients so that they actually push it forward. So we'll be working on that as far as, and many other. It's crazy how many things that you got to get set up to really get things done. But,
and perhaps, if we did set it up as a subscription, then we'd have more money to be able to build that sort of technology. But it's at that funny stage. I think there may be a subscription model in the future, but there'll still be that kind of free plan if you don't use it, you don't pay. But we'd also like to. So what we're finding, a lot of feedback that I've been getting from photographers is they get quite frustrated when people are looking for a wedding photographer, and the emails come through, and it's like, I need a wedding photographer, how much?
Right.
Yeah, and it's the same thing for every time. They're like, oh, you don't even, I don't feel valued as a professional or a person. And then when I speak to the public, because I had done a lot of interviews as well, I'm like, what's the most frustrating part of booking a wedding photographer? They've said to me, they're like, I find, it's hard to find them, first of all. I have to go through Google. And then when I find one that I like, I'll ask them and then they'll be booked. And so then the task of actually finding one becomes quite frustrating for them. So then the emails eventually turn into these, are you available this day? How much?
How much? Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea of what I would like to see, and where I see it going in the future, is to be able to it be a place where the public can come and find a photographer based on an area. And the price point isn't a price point because they know that they can afford it using Album Registry, and you can choose purely based on a person, a human, and their work, and whether you connect with them. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, it's definitely a constant battle for all of us to figure out how to get those leads to come in and then get the right people to find you. And Portland is very saturated and there's a lot of photographers here. So it's,
okay.
I have and that's a great question too, as far as getting to know what the process is for the clients when they're looking for a photographer. I think most of ours come with, they were already like a word of mouth, like we shot their friend's wedding. So, and fortunately for us, in quite a few cases, we were the only photographer that they even considered, and they already knew they wanted to work with us. So we don't get a lot of, our SEO is horrible, that we don't even show up on anything. This is a big issue right now, actually. So we're working on it.
It's a constant battle, isn't it? It's just like,
yeah, it's a battle for everybody, and a battle, especially in the Portland market where so many great photographers and really smart photographers who know how to market themselves and know how to set up their site and know how to do all this stuff, that we're just like, it's really, it can be frustrating. So we love those leads that come in from word of mouth, because that's just, we end up finding the right people for us, but few, some trickle in from Instagram and things like that. But, so yeah.
That, a quick tip before I go, that list of people that I sent to you that have contributed as well, you got a nice little database there to send emails to and introduce yourself.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's a great idea. I like that.
So it becomes kind of like that little, that lead referral as well. People are going there to give, they can see your work as well. Because weddings happen in clusters, weddings and births, they all happen in clusters.
So we can just, so, okay, I didn't know that. So you can actually contact the people that gave and just say like, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Because that's another thing too. Like we got a photo booth this year that we're hoping to kind of use in that aspect as well. Like you get a little bit of information, just not that we want to be annoying and spam people, but just send out thank yous and check things out here, blah, blah, blah. So, because we like that kind of, generating that kind of business more than random people at the same time. Like they have that connection already. They've been to that wedding. They've seen how we work. And
I even had it actually where they've gifted something, and they already know who I am, and they're a guest, and they'll come up and they're like, oh, I did it. And they feel like they know you already, and they become invested in that. They feel like they've given something, they've really become invested in that gift as well, and they have a reason to come and talk to you. It's a nice little
cool stuff. Awesome. Thank you for the tidbits.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime. And it's great to have chats with you as well, because then I can hear feedback as well, and we're always open to feedback, and want to hear it coming from you guys as well. So
awesome.
It's important.
Well, we highly recommend you to everybody we talked, all the photographers. So hopefully people have been signing up. I don't know.
Yeah. They trickle in, and it's nice to get to see where they've come from as well. So
yeah. Cool. Well, good luck to you guys. I hope that it is wildly successful for you. It's a great idea.
Thank you very much. All right, well, you have a good night's sleep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And have a great day.
It's in the afternoon. I gotta go pick my kids up from school now. So
oh my goodness, we actually we just had a client from Australia that they came here for their wedding because the bride is from the area, and I mean, it's a long backstory and all, but so we just had their album like reveal and everything, and we did it all on Skype, and it's just reminding me of that. It's like daytime there and nighttime here.
Yeah, wonderful. Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Isaac. And I'll talk to you again soon. And good luck with your upcoming wedding season.
Thank you so much. All right.
All right. See you later.
Take care. All right. Bye.